This is the RotoWire Fantasy Soccer Show. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Jordan Cooper and Ryan Belongia. We're talking Saturday's 4-game slate at DraftKings. Jordan, is this going to be a fun slate? Ryan thinks it's going to be a fun slate. Do you think this is going to be a fun slate?
Well, we got to recap. We always have to beat our chest. I got my second King of the Pitch ticket last week. with Jay Adams.
Yes,
Jay Adams, the only one. Even though I didn't necessarily need him, I could have just played a Rebo there and whatever. That'll definitely make up for the 2 Champions League slates this week that I did not do as well in. But this slate is, I pine for the old days of EPL DFS where you didn't just have to deal with like one team. It's like, okay, there are a couple of favorites and maybe we mix it around. Nope, we got to deal with Man City on the main 4-game slate with a 2.77 implied goal total and Erling Haaland with a basically almost a coin flip chance to score a brace at 11.6K. I'll have some interesting takes on lineup construction. Cash versus GPP. It's, to me, on this slate, the cash construction looks like a normal GPP construction, but the GPP construction looks like a normal cash construction as far as salary distribution is concerned. So I think in cash, you're more likely to play barbell lineups, meaning you're playing expensive guys and cheap guys. And I think in GPP, going right down the middle and hope one of those top end guys, doesn't kill you. I think that has a higher chance to be both higher ceiling if Man City only put up 3 goals, and also give you a much higher floor also.
This is like, so midweek we had Manchester City home against Copenhagen. Almost similar odds. I guess they're a 93, 94% chance to win. The difference with this one is that we don't have Real Madrid in a favorable spot. We don't have Juventus in a favorable spot. We don't have PSG as a favorite. We do have Chelsea. But Ryan, before the show, you dropped a bomb on us. You're going to fade Haaland. I assume that's only in tournaments. You're not fading him in cash games, are you?
The interesting part about cash games.
Yeah, I can't. Go ahead.
Okay. And I read your article.
It wasn't mine this week.
Was it right?
Oh, it wasn't yours. Okay, I read the article. Okay, I don't know. I don't check the byline.
Okay, that's fine.
We're gonna expect. Okay, like we're projecting. I'm just looking at the projected 11, and this is the same that's on Sofa also. That a front line of Haaland, Foden, and Grealish with De Bruyne, Bernardo, and Rodri behind him, right? Like if we're predicting that. I would agree with that also. So I don't think Mahrez starts. I don't think they go into. I mean, De Bruyne didn't start midweek. Foden didn't start midweek. We have to expect this type of lineup to come out. If anything, maybe like Bernardo doesn't play and Gundogan plays with De Bruyne and Rodri also, or something like that. The goal scoring odd difference between Haaland and Foden makes it that. Why don't I just play Haaland at what the 1600 in the constructions that I was building? The 1600 only got me a difference in goalkeeper. Like it didn't really do enough. Where am I willing, knowing that Haaland is probably going to be very popular in every format? Am I willing to go to war with Phil Foden at 10,000? It's not like Phil Foden's 8K, right? It's only a $1,600 difference. That. In these types of scenarios we've seen in the past with Cristiano Ronaldo, with Messi, with Lewandowski, like when the odds are this high, like you just have to predict like his median result is like 12 to 15 points, even though it's goal dependent. That if you don't play him and he scores 3, you're dead. I mean, you're like, even if he scores 2, you're in bad shape. If he scores 1, you're fine. But still, if you play Foden instead of Haaland, let's say Haaland scores 1 and it has 17 points and Foden only has 7 points. Maybe he doesn't get involved in anything. He comes out at 70th minute and like it said like 10K for Foden isn't like slam dunk or anything. So in my opinion, it's weird for me to say on this slate. I think it's with this positional scarcity at forward. If I were to guess, I think there are more viable cash constructions that fade De Bruyne than that fade Haaland.
Yeah, that's interesting. Cash is interesting this week. I don't think you can play Foden for 10K. Like, there's just no reason to do that. Like you said, when Haaland is just, not too much more. And if he's going to be popular, there's just no reason to do that. But have you considered De Bruyne and Maddison and maybe another expensive defender and maybe having people try to chase you down with Haaland?
I don't think that's chasing you down. That was my initial type of thought process. The old school, I'm just going to pay up for De Bruyne and Maddison and Dinky do the forwards. And dude, the forward positions is not good on this slate. I mean, like it's
right.
It's the weakest position on the entire slate. And when it comes to positional scarcity, I don't mind punting like a Dinky on one of them and going, let's see what happens. But to do two at the same time, I think.
Yeah, I know. If
you're gonna spend extra money, spend it in a position that has a lot of scarcity in it, then do it at positions. I can find cheap midfielders. I can find cheap defenders to play. Forward wise, really, to me, my cash pool as far as forward is concerned is like Haaland, and then one of like Embuemo or Joe Linton or Damsgaard, depending on who starts.
So
and then
let me tell you.
Imagine playing two of those. Imagine playing Joe Linton and Damsgaard, and then playing Maddison and De Bruyne. Dude, there's plenty of outcomes where you get a grand total of 7 points combined at forward, and you're trying to chase down a brace from Haaland, and I don't know if you'll be able to do that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Let me tell you what I was thinking about doing, and people might think that I'm joking, but I promise you that I'm not. But so maybe you could tell me how stupid it is. And I
won't laugh.
Okay, and this is for cash games, right? This is for cash games. How about 3,900 Adama Traore off the bench?
Yeah.
I mean, just hold on. So there's no cash forwards under Damsgaard. Okay, so that's a $1,300 difference. You might be able to use that, and their floors might be similar. Also, I think Traore might start. So Traore for 3,900, you could get away with that in cash. But then I started thinking, they don't have Neto, they don't have Raul Jimenez. I mean, you're guaranteed if he doesn't start 30 minutes for a guy with a pretty decent floor, especially in the second half when the game's opened up. I don't know if I was trying to fit Maddison, De Bruyne, maybe two of the defenders. I think you could do a lot worse than starting Traore off the bench. Is that stupid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ryan.
I mean, there's no explanation. You're not playing substitutes. You're playing cash games. I wouldn't do that in GPP. And you're talking about that, but the theory is correct. If you wanted to say at forward, I'm going to play the lowest priced guy that has a green check mark. Okay, that's fine. But I'm not going to play a guy that may not even play.
Right. So you do have Diego Costa there too, 3,900, but that's a guy that literally has a zero floor.
Yeah, but a bench player has a zero floor. I mean, come on.
Right. Okay. I get it. I just mean if people are going to use that construction and roster some of these 5 or 6K forwards that have, very small floors, how bad can it be if it gets you a different construction?
The point, it's a scarce position in cash games. I want to lock up points and also block. There's some value in blocking. There's value enough at midfield and defender that if I'm going to spend the extra money, I'm not. Am I going to be that scared? Truthfully, in cash games on tomorrow, I'm not scared of Madison's score. I can't see how you play Haaland, De Bruyne, and Maddison together. And still have a lineup that's worth playing. So, to me, what like we'll get into GPP. GPP, I think like if you didn't play a guy over like 8,000 in GPP or even 7,000, like I think those are the GPP lineups. But the problem is that you may be playing guys that are like, oh yeah, they could get 6-7 points, but like that's not going to be enough if that's the whole lineup that you play. So like,
Yeah,
it's
I was
weird
just
for me
thinking
to hear you say that you think in cash that play that
look,
you're the
no,
one.
Jordan, I
You're
went
the one
about
who
it. I
wants
was
to do the
just
dinky do.
listen. I went about it because Haaland at 11.6 or just doesn't make sense in cash, just in general. But it does because it's Haaland, and we've never seen a player like this, and we've never seen a team like City. And then you have a guy like James Maddison, who's got one of the best matchups he could have. He's got a goal. He's got a goal floor. He's got the floor of a goal in this spot. He's been absolutely crushing. So, I was considering it because, yeah, if Haaland scores one goal, I mean, that's fine. That's Madison's floor. 2 goals, then you're in trouble.
It's a positional. It's the context of the positions of the slate. And I agree with you, dude. That's my first instinct. Let me get De Bruyne. Let me get Madison. Let me dinky do forward. Punt at goalkeeper and get my floor up to as much as
You're
possible.
right, though. The positional scarcity is big.
Right. To me, that's the issue. I think we've seen it. Like, dude,
I'm with you.
We've played Cristiano Ronaldo at 12-4 on Champions League slates with goal scoring odds of the same. And we're just like,
yeah,
we're just playing. It's an 8-game slate and we're doing it. So, like,
I mean, if there was anybody that you could punt, like if there was any, but there just isn't. So, yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. Because of positional scarcity, it just makes sense to play Haaland at forward. Like there's other midfielders, even though it's a great spot for Madison.
I assume you guys are off of Aribo and if Mara starts for Southampton.
Are you going to try to sell us on a Southampton forward?
I'm not trying to sell you. You just try to sell us on Adama Traore off the bench. So
give me Traore off the bench over Joe Aribo.
All right. I mean, Manchester City did just give up 3 goals at home. So,
okay. Yeah,
but they have no floors. It's like if you're playing, I can understand if you're playing in GPP and you're playing a Man City stack, and you play a Southampton attacker, and you play for the goal, and you're not playing a Ederson as the goalkeeper. I can understand that, but in cash games, these guys have no floor because like Man City's going to have like 85% possession. So like. That's the main reason you don't play humongous underdogs in cash, even if they're like the cheap set piece taker, because it's like, how many set pieces do they plan on getting when they barely have the ball?
Fine. To Ryan's point, he's assuming, this Chelsea-Wolves match is going to be open in the final 30 minutes. What if, like, Chelsea are up 3-0? I'm diving deep into this Adama Traore play. What if Chelsea are up 3-0 and it's just like, last 30 minutes are just like Chelsea, passing the ball around in the back. This game's over. Wolves don't care. They don't even have a manager. They have a couple players missing. Are you still going to count on the up and down match and solid floor?
No. I'm not even counting on that type of match. I mean, since you brought up this game, this actually looks like a good spot for Chelsea. Coming off like a great performance against AC Milan, and you have Wolves here that are without Neves and Neto. It just
and
looks
Nathan
like
Collins.
It just looks like a spot where they're going to struggle because those are key guys. So like for tournaments, I don't know. You could see Chelsea winning this match comfortably, scoring a few goals.
I think a GPP, to me, GPP, if people are playing Haaland and they're playing De Bruyne, like it's going to be very like having a lineup with 2 of these guys, like playing a lineup like Sterling Auba, right? Playing Preston Daka, playing, I'm looking in like kind of the mid-range, Callum Wilson, like these types of guys, and playing 2 of them, like not doing it like, oh, I'm going to play a dinky and one of these guys and save on Haaland. It's like, no, playing two guys at forward that have legitimate 2-goal potential. If Haaland only scores 2 goals, like you're up because any Haaland lineup doesn't have that other forward in it also. And you also spend like $4,000 less. So like, I know I don't never play Ivan Toney. It's even at 7,700.
I was going to
but I mean,
say that's who you're playing. You're playing Ivan
right,
Toney.
right. But I mean, I could see a lot of people, if they're going to do that, play like Bernardo instead. Like, still go with Man City. It's like my attitude is like, no, like, why can't you play like Leicester? Why can't you play Chelsea? If Havertz starts, he's down 5,100, right?
Mhm.
You play Havertz, you play 2 Chelsea forward eligible players, and then dude, like Man City, truthfully, on this slate is fadeable from a price perspective. I think like it's quite possible they could score 3 goals and no one on their team has more than 20 points.
Mhm.
Right? And it's spread out. And maybe it's an Akanji goal on a set piece. Maybe it's a Rodri goal from deep. Maybe Grealish scores or something. You could play him as a one-off. Like stuff like that. So like I'm not opposed to building GPP lineups that have literally no Man City in it. And then just hoping that it just gets spread around, that like, because I think De Bruyne and Haaland are going to be so owned, and they're the more likely ones to be involved in goal scoring opportunities. So like, even if it's a Grealish goal, it may be a Haaland assist. If it's a Bernardo goal, it could be a KDB assist. Like, yeah, I'm almost playing for like a 2-0 Man City game, a 3-0, a substitute. You get Alvarez off the bench, or Mahrez comes in off the bench and scores, like that type of game. That at their prices, you could make so many combinations of like Chelsea and that Newcastle Brentford game. Like the Bournemouth Leicester. I mean, to me, Leicester's going to go wildly underowned. Like that Leicester Bournemouth game. Like, imagine play. I mean, you could play Tavernier plus Solanke plus Madison plus Daka, something like that, and like you don't spend that much money doing that. Like, and you could throw in an Aubameyang or a Sterling into that lineup. Have no Man City. Man City scores 3 goals, it gets spread out, and you win when both the Bournemouth Leicester game is 3-2 and Chelsea wins 4-0.
Yep. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, the comment that Adam was referring to, I think it's a great slate to fade Haaland in tournaments. It's going to be so popular.
I agree with that, but not in cash. I can't see doing that in cash.
No. I'm with you for cash. Definitely. I was just trying to think out loud a little bit, but for cash, the positional scarcity makes it so Haaland just makes too much sense. For tournaments, yeah, no, I agree with pretty much everything you said. Just in general, it's hard to not really like Kevin De Bruyne though at 9,500 after he was rested in the Champions League. Like, it's just, quote unquote smash spot for De Bruyne here at that price tag. So I still like De Bruyne for tournaments. But I think you nailed it with that Leicester Bournemouth game. I even just love the mini stack of Solanke and Madison. Madison's just going to go underowned. You can add guys to that game, like you said, but looking for goal scorers, I don't see why Bournemouth can't do it in this spot. Leicester have been so inconsistent and much worse on the road. So, yeah, I've been looking at Solanke for sure.
I think, just based off your comments, that it seems like this new Newcastle match might be overlooked here. Like, we have Chelsea home against Wolverhampton. People are going to look at Chelsea, what Ryan just mentioned, and then you look at Bournemouth. No one likes Bournemouth. Leicester, one of the worst defenses all season. So people are going to look at that match. But I guess you could look at all these matches technically if you want to fade Manchester City. You could look at all these matches.
Newcastle will be played. I mean, because Trippier is probably going to be the highest owned defender, so people will pair that up. If Frazier starts at 3,800, I mean, I don't think Newcastle will be overlooked. I think maybe Callum Wilson will be.
But yeah, 8,300 Callum Wilson.
Think the defenders and midfielders are.
Yeah, for Brentford, they're going to be without Pontus Janssen, so we don't even know who their center back's going to be. If you guys are familiar with Zonka could start for them, and he always loves 4 goals when he starts. But I'm projecting Ajer as a center back here. But I do like the spot for Newcastle. And just for this Manchester City match, just my thoughts. I think this is a real spot that could be what Jordan was saying, 2-3 kind of goal game, like Manchester City coming off a Copenhagen match. It's Copenhagen, and then they're coming off the Manchester derby. Southampton hasn't Huddle is at least familiar with this team. I don't know if they can, defend Haaland, but they've given Manchester City trouble in the past, and Huddle is going to work something out here where it could be difficult at times. So, right.
I don't know, man. Because this Southampton team is worse than the last couple that Hasenhüttl has had.
I agree.
I'm worried about Southampton in this spot.
I mean, they could get blown up for 9 goals. We've definitely seen that before, but I do think that
I get what you're saying. I kind of hope you're right. That's some wishful thinking. Southampton, I don't know. The times that I've watched Southampton this season, I've been sort of surprised at how bad they were. But I don't know. So, they get up for games sometimes.
Yeah, their midfield is a problem right now. But I just want to say, this isn't like Copenhagen. This isn't.
The
odds are similar, but I don't know. It's not Copenhagen. I mean, that match was kind of a joke. It was just they
Southampton are better than Copenhagen. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm saying. But do you guys have anything else to say for forward at least here?
I think if you had Ryan, the dinky part, to me, the choice is Embuemo, Joe Linton, Damsgaard. Assuming he starts. I mean, assuming any of these guys. I mean, it's possible that, some of these guys don't even start. Joe Linton didn't start last week, and I wanted to play him as the dinky. To me, just in my cash brain, I would rank them Joe Linton 1, Damsgaard 2, and Bueno 3. On the basis of minutes versus price. I think if Joe Linton starts, he probably he's more likely to play 90. And then Embuemo and Damsgaard both probably don't play 90. And Damsgaard's 600 cheaper. So I think Embuemo has a higher floor than Damsgaard, personally, and a little bit more upside. But if I had to choose between one, I think I'd choose Joe Linton. But if you need the money, if it's I think you're almost choosing any of the
I think that's a perfect breakdown though, and I agree with you. I think most people might just think Damsgaard for whatever reason, but no, I think Joe Linton's floor is slightly higher.
Are you guys ignoring Guedes here with possible set pieces for Wolverhampton?
Yeah, that's not a bad call. Yeah, I guess he's pretty similar to Damsgaard. I mean, neither are going to go 90. I mean, both are playing for the underdog. I don't know. What do you think?
For Guedes? I mean, I think I actually may even rather play him.
Is he better than Damsgaard? Maybe.
Damsgaard and Embuemo. I mean, Wolverhampton do have injuries. He started at forward last match, and, he got substituted for Costa, but
he's playing as a number 9. I don't want to touch him.
He's not going to be. I mean, if Costa starts, we'll see what happens. But the injury to Neto kind of changes.
Yeah, Jordan, what are you going to do with Costa? I mean, Costa's probably going to start. Would you play him in cash or no? You got to get up to Damsgaard or Joe Linton.
The Wolves have a lower implied total than Southampton.
Right. I'm just saying though, does it matter? Is the 1,300 more important than? These guys were talking about.
If you were going to play Guedes, you might as well play Costa. I think if you're going to do that, you might as well play Traore if he starts. I'm not a big fan of playing Wolves players necessarily.
Right, but Damsgaard's kind of the same, right?
Yeah, but they're playing Newcastle. There's a big difference.
Yeah, you'd think.
I don't think it's that big of a difference.
Yeah, it's there's a difference, but
that's why I'm playing Joe Linton. Play the Newcastle.
I agree. I would go with Joe Linton.
Ryan, where would you rank on this list? Where would you rank Adama Traore off the bench at 3,700?
That's funny. I mean, it's too bad that Wolves aren't a favorite, because I promise you I would play Adama Traore on a slate like this if they were. But no, not in this matchup.
All right. So midfielders, we got a cheap De Bruyne here at 9,500. Seems a bit of a mispricing to have him, 1,300 cheaper than Madison.
Like, hold on.
Who's
Let
gonna?
me just say, sorry. You got me on this. You got me on this Adama Traore thing.
Oh,
Let's just take this.
more. Here we go.
Let's just take this situation. Let's say they weren't playing Chelsea. Let's just say it was a normal matchup. People would absolutely roster Diego Costa for 3,900. Let's just, take that example. And most of the time, he's going to play 50 or 60 minutes, not score, and finish with a bad floor. When you're positive that a guy's going to come on and play 20 or 30 minutes in the time of the game where most of the goals happen, which is, sorry, can you guys?
You were good.
The deep state is trying to censor him.
All right, Ryan's mic or his headphones just ran out of battery, so we'll figure something out here. But
they're trying to silence him. But
okay. Sorry. So yeah, that's my point. Apparently, was so bad that I just needed to be silenced. But I mean, that's just the thinking behind it. We play these guys all the time. Like we play Edouard for Crystal Palace and these type of guys that always go 50, 60 minutes and never score. And, they're 10, 15% owned because they're so cheap. Why not play a guy for 0.5% ownership? Again, I'm not saying this spot, but there are spots.
Do it in Showdown. Don't do this in 4-game classic slates.
Jordan, I just won a women's slate doing this. Trust me, it's possible.
That was months ago.
So if it happens once, it has to happen again.
No, but there's times when it's in play, but it's not here. But there's times when it's in play.
So in cash games, do you guys think Haaland or De Bruyne is going to be more popular?
Haaland.
Because Haaland was about 90% midweek. Obviously, that was without De Bruyne.
It's just that there's more midfielders to play. So that's why I said I'm almost positively going to have Haaland and De Bruyne in my cash lineup, but I could see constructions that are more likely to not have De Bruyne in a midfield spot than not have Haaland in a forward spot based on the projected 11s. Because really, if you wanted to play Madison over De Bruyne, personally, I don't think it's worth the 1,300 to do that. But I mean, I guess you can make a case. But really, there's nothing to me. I'm not obviously James Ward-Prowse at 7,400 against Man City is not even a question. I'm not playing. Mason Mount is an option, but not for cash games. And then we get into you could play a lineup that doesn't have De Bruyne, but plays a midfield slot of Grealish and Tavernier, and then you play now you don't have to punt a defender, so you can play Trippier and Cancelo together, and that lineup doesn't look that bad, other than the fact that you don't have KDB in there. But I still think that is a viable. Is it the route that I go? Probably not. But I mean, if someone showed me that lineup and I said, yeah, kind of risking fading KDB at 9,500, but at least I understand what you're doing. I understand that you're avoiding having to really punt at any real spot. You don't have a center back. You don't have a underdog goalkeeper in your lineup. It's I get it. Will I do it? Probably not.
So it's kind of do you either want something like De Bruyne and then you're kind of left with a center back in one of your spots, or a 3K util kind of a thing, or do you want a Tavernier in as maybe your number one midfielder kind of a thing?
Is it Tavernier or Tavernier?
It's Tavernier.
Okay,
but
I just want to make sure that typically I'm the one that mispronounces names.
Yeah,
that's the same thing.
Yeah, I get it though. That's a tricky one. I mean, we're talking about cash, right? How can you not play De Bruyne in cash?
I agree with you. But it's the other midfield spots. There's cheap guys. I don't mind in cash games
playing, a Ryan Fraser.
Well, that's even. I'm talking about even higher up. Like Tielemans is 5,300. Dewsbury Hall is 4,800. Jensen is 5,100. Those are fine. Then you get Frazier at 3,800. Christie at 3,700. You even have someone like Nunez at 3,500 if you really want to go down there. I mean, he's not horrible or anything like that, but I mean, like there are guys here that Matinho's 3,300.
Yes.
Nunes is taking the sets now, right?
I don't.
Or
Maybe
a portion of them. We don't. To
Not
me,
corners,
I
I don't
look at
think.
Wolves and go, I don't know what the hell they're doing. So
yeah.
I don't want to pay for a set piece taker, but like I don't mind taking a shot on a 3K guy rather than fill a forward spot with Guedes or something like that. If I'm gonna play Christie or Frazier and I need the extra 200 or something, like I think Nunes is fine. I mean, you're dumpster diving a bit, but at least you're dumpster diving with guys that aren't like defensive midfielders and guys that like really don't have upside. Like Frazier may not play 90, but he could show up on the score sheet. But if you play like these defensive Jefferson Lerma instead, like what are you doing?
Yep. No, I agree. Sorry, I'm anxious to hear who your defenders are because it's going to be tough to fit it all if you don't.
I don't think defender is that important. I don't think defender is that important on this slate.
Really? Okay. See, this is what I was sort of wondering. Defender to me might be important enough to where you play a 3,900 guy at forward instead of a mid 5K guy.
I'm not. I think to me, and in my opinion,
maybe you're seeing someone that you like more than I do, but I'm trying to play three of these.
I mean, to me, the in cash specifically, I see the construction choice of do you play Tavernier or Grealish, or do you play Cancelo at 5,800 in the utility spot instead? And then also, do you pay up? Do you do neither, or do you pay up at goalkeeper? Because in my current construction, I'm paying down at goalkeeper. But you could sacrifice one of those types of 6K players to play Ederson. So you play a second 3. So instead of playing like Tavernier or Grealish or Cancelo, you're playing Christie. But you're playing Ederson in that lineup. Or do you play like Jose Sa and play one of those 6K midfielders or Cancelo? Like to me, that I think the forward price doesn't matter. You're not going up or down enough that I don't think that is going to make that much of a difference. I mean, do you want to get to defender? Well, I mean, we could talk about defender in the mix of all of this. To me, I think the best defender on the slate that you pay in cash is Trippier.
Yeah, this is an interesting conversation. This is
why do you think it's Cancelo instead of Trippier?
Okay, so maybe I'm not the one to try to analyze Trippier at the moment. I sort of I've been under on him during this whole run. I think he's been running pretty hot. I just don't expect this to continue, this type of floor. I think these matchups have been amazing and the game flows have just like worked out in his favor. I think he's a fine play. Again, I don't want to steer people the wrong way, but I don't know. I think the City guys are just as good for cheaper. They have more upside too, but yeah, I get it. Trippier is probably the safest.
I mean, if salary was no option, I'd love to just plug in Trippier, Cancelo, and Gomez into my lineup.
I guess, right. Look, I'm waiting for spots to fade Trippier, but these spots at home when he's a favorite are probably not it. These are good spots for Trippier.
So you guys we're not, or at least you guys aren't looking at the Chelsea. Let's just say Chelsea are again have wingbacks. What has happened has been Mason Mount's on right-sided corners, and whoever's the left wing back is on left-sided corners. So it's either going to be Chilwell, Cucurella. At least that's the thought. So are we not looking at either of those guys? We're not looking at Reece James.
I don't think for cash.
Right. Okay. GP. I think that's great to me. To me, the GPP lineups are: you play one of James or Chilwell, you play two Chelsea attackers, Aubameyang, Havertz, whoever, Mount, and you hope that they score 4 goals, and you do that because the ownership on Chelsea is going to be low. not like it's a 4-game slate. It can't be that low, but just the combinations of the price ranges are like, well, why am I doing this when I could just play Cancelo and Grealish and Bernardo Silva and play a bunch of, and De Bruyne? Why am I playing Sterling and James and like it's like the salary wise outside of Haaland and Foden, like they're kind of the same prices, and Man City are obviously have a goal higher implied total. But for GPP, I mean, that's what you're doing. To me, the mid-range defenders are the stuff that I would avoid, like Justin and Castagna. Like I like Leicester, but I just feel like their upside is much lower than that of the $1,000 players above them, and their floors aren't that dramatically different than the $1,000 that the players that are $1,000 cheaper than them. So it's like I almost rather just play a center back than play like a Leicester fullback and spend $1,000 to get up to a better attacker.
Yeah, I think you're right. At that point, you just play a City center back.
So Chelsea center back, even why not?
Oh yeah, sure, a Chelsea center back. Yeah, same clean sheet odds basically.
Actually, I think Chelsea have a better clean sheet odds.
Yeah, okay. Chelsea center back.
You guys seem kind of higher on Cancelo than I do, at least for cash games. I don't know. He's screwed me a few times, and it's just like he has the upside. Is that why you're playing him? Just because he has more upside?
No, he has a great floor. It just his floor doesn't come from set pieces. He came off at 57.
I'm not talking about just that game. I just in general, like you don't know what he's going to do because it depends how the game goes. Maybe he's going to get up the field and maybe he's going to send crosses in, take shots, or maybe he's not going to be up there as much. It's not predictable really. It's just like sometimes he'll have a floor between 5 and 8. Sometimes he'll be at 15. It's not the same as these other guys with the corners.
Well, that's why I said that. Well, I prioritize Trippier over both the Man City fullbacks, but outside of that, then the Man City fullbacks are the next best options. I mean,
like, what if Target starts again at 5,400? Would you still take Cancelo?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Every single day of the week. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. The range of outcomes maybe is a little wider for Cancelo, and even
the floor isn't that dramatically different. So, like,
no, I don't think so either.
20. I agree, Ryan. You agree with me? Cancelo could ease. There are some games where Cancelo, like, it's like, oh, like, wow, he just got the 17 points without a goal or an assist, and you're like,
absolutely. Right,
I don't see Target. Like, Target's floor maybe a point higher, maybe.
Exactly.
But Target, I don't. You rarely see Targets like, oh, he has 21 points without a goal or an assist. Like Cancelo could do that.
That happened like 10 games ago.
Hold on though. That's like I could be more clear. Like that would never even be a decision for me. Like it's Cancelo over Target or Gomez over Target literally every single time. Like there's just Target's floor might be slightly higher. You're right. Slightly, but the upside is just so different. And it's possible that Target's floor is not even higher. Like in these spots where City is just going to dominate.
You also have to realize,
you don't think Newcastle are going to dominate?
Now, Adam, I also want to point out that the fullbacks on Man City play differently than they have the past 3 years because they have Haaland as a center forward. So, like, we've seen these wide players cross a lot more than we've seen Man City have forwards cross. Like if Kyle Walker was in the side, like, I know we always hated playing Kyle Walker, but you have to, these fullbacks, they don't tuck in as much as Pep had them in the past.
Are you basing that off, like, what you're watching, or what are you basing this off of?
Because basing off the stats.
Per 90, Cancelo's averaging less crosses than he did last season by like last season, he averaged 3.46 crosses per 90 minutes. This season, he's at 2.69. Like, even though they're crossing into Haaland, that doesn't mean their fullbacks are, because their whole team, they're in the attacking third for the majority of the match. It doesn't mean like Cancelo's going out to the wing. Like it means like
but he's coming forward. Like these fullbacks are coming forward.
But I just gave you the numbers. He doesn't have the crosses to back up what you're saying.
No, he has the shots and the shots assisted though. I mean, like these fullbacks are part of the attack less and more so than part of the defensive midfield, right? We've used to see a lot of they'd go wide like this and the fullbacks would tuck in with Rodri or Fernandinho and you'd be like, well, how are they going to get peripheral points like this?
I could
It's
read
like
off
they're
the
not doing
numbers
that.
to you, but what you're saying does not
Adam,
align with the numbers.
What are Gomez's crosses per 90?
You want me to look this up here?
Yeah. And I should say also, this is a
he's
very
played
small,
he's
very
played
small
86
sample.
minutes.
It doesn't matter. It's a very small sample for Cancelo too.
4.19.
That's not bad, right?
I mean, he played. I mean, this is league play. I don't want to like throw in Copenhagen matches and everything here.
Well,
so.
this is a Copenhagen, but you can't do, Adam. You can't do that when we're just saying it's like, oh, this match. There are 2.6.
I can do this. It's Copenhagen. Copenhagen is not Southampton
to win, and then you go, no, this is not an overwhelming performance. They have the same goal total they had over the midweek.
Nah, I don't care about that. Like Copenhagen and Southampton are not the same matchups.
Okay, but this is one of the better matchups that Cancelo has had this season, and he's 5,800. So I mean. It's really not a decision between him and Target.
All right. Who else? Does anyone else stand out for defender here?
We know, Adam, you're going to just pay up for Fabian Schär as a center back for 4,500, right? Is he better than Cancelo also?
No, we got Johnny at 3,500 as an away underdog.
Yeah, but he's going to play. Isn't he going to play as a center back?
No, I'm just kidding. No, we actually don't know. Wolves don't have a manager, so we don't know what's going to happen with their formation or what they're going to do with anything. So,
would you play Johnny at 3,500 as a fullback, or would you rather just play Koulibaly or Kanji as a center back? To me, I almost rather just play the center backs.
Yeah, you always play the Manchester City, Chelsea center backs when they're underpriced. I think that's pretty clear.
Yep, I agree.
But I wouldn't play both. See, there's a construction. Like, if you wanted to try to make a Haaland, Madison, De Bruyne lineup, you could probably put together a lineup where you're playing Koulibaly and Akanji. I just feel like playing a lineup where you're like punting almost half your spots in your lineup, like is not. You're relying. You bet those three expensive players better put up 20+ points, or you're in deep trouble. So, like, yeah, I think people may try to do that. I just wouldn't feel comfortable, like, having so many slots in my lineup that have a very large range of outcomes that half my lineup has, like, 3 points each.
Yeah, I agree. That's too much for me as well. I mean, I like these defenders.
Mm-hmm. And for goalkeeper, we got 48% clean sheet chances here. Chelsea are slightly better than Manchester City. So, I mean, we don't have the money, first of all, but if you find the money, are we going Kepa over Ederson, or what's the play here? Just correlate with your defenders kind of a thing?
Well, GPP, you correlate, but I mean, to me, I don't think there's the clean sheet odds, like the Man City has higher win odds. But when you're playing goalkeepers at that high price, I mean, you're playing essentially for the clean sheet. So, like, if you're like your lineup and the 200 is left and you need Kepa instead of Ederson, I think that's perfectly fine, right? I mean, I don't prefer one over the other. It's just like whatever money you have left. If you have 200 more, play Ederson. But to me, the question is, do you pay up for one of those two, or do you punt a goalkeeper just so you could fill in, like, to upgrade, a 3K level utility player to like a 6K level, like something like, to me, that's the decision. And from a statistical long-term perspective, goalkeeper variance is the highest, that I lean more towards just punt the goalkeeper spot and make sure that the opportunity cost of all these other positions is so much higher that I'm not prioritizing like I'd much rather have like Grealish or Tavernier or Cancelo or Gomez or Target even, right? Even Target, just throw him in for Adam. Than have Kepa or Ederson at goalkeeper. But I mean, I reserve the right to change that. Like, would you rather have a lineup that in your midfield spots are De Bruyne, Frazier, and Nunez then you have Ederson? Or would you rather have De Bruyne, one of those, Frazier, Nunez, and then like Grealish or Cancelo or like something? To me, I think that if you just look at the goalkeeper position as shruggy emoji, like why do I want to play 2 midfield punts when I don't need to? When I'm already punting it forward with Damsgaard or someone as it is, that I kind of want to make sure that I have a much higher floor at my utility spot than a 3K player when I'm already playing a 3K midfielder as it is. And a 3K second defender with someone like Akanji or Koulibaly. It just feels like if I'm going to punt somewhere, if I'm punting so many spots in my lineup as it is, let goalkeeper be one of those spots and not let it be a midfielder utility spot.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, on that Champions League slate with City against Copenhagen, City won 5-0, and the Copenhagen keeper outscored Ederson 14-12. So, you know,
because it happened once means it's going to happen again.
No, but yeah, I know. I'm with George. Those guys should get plenty of saves, Mizuno and Sa. I mean, they'll have to get scored on quite a bit to score negative, you'd think.
And I'm much more likely to play Sa because I don't see myself playing a Chelsea player in my cash lineup.
Yeah, same.
I think it's almost.
I mean, hold on. Is it not crazy to see those clean sheet odds the same? I mean, the books really must hate this Wolves side just for Saturday's game. I don't know. I can't believe City don't have higher clean sheet odds, but
Wolves have like 3 goals all season, and they're going to start.
No, that's what I mean. Like the books are just really, really down on this Wolves team.
Is this a Diego Costa revenge game?
Whew. Yeah, that's a really bad front three. I mean, Costa's got to be one of the worst forwards in the league.
It's a revenge game in that he's going to punch someone in the face, but yeah. Yeah, for the cheap goalkeepers, what do you guys have a favorite here? I kind of think Neto kind of stands out, 4,400, unless you, as Ryan said, you spend down on the big underdogs. But
yeah, I think if you're like trying to get the miracle win or clean sheet, maybe Neto. But sometimes on slates,
miracle.
Yeah.
Are we overrating Leicester City here? Miracle?
No, but I think what are the odds? What are the clean sheet odds for Bournemouth?
They are 20.
Okay, so that's not bad. I think in these spots, I've sometimes been just going with my keeper's going to get scored on, so whatever. Hopefully, he gets enough saves. Like if you're in this,
what you hope, Brian, is that all the keepers get scored on.
Right.
If
like,
no one has
at least all the cheap ones.
It's like all the goalkeepers tend to score clumped kind of together enough.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. Take your pick, really. Why, Adam? Do you have one for us? I mean, Neto. Were you going to say Neto?
Yeah, Neto.
Back-to-back clean sheets. They just kept.
I think Leicester just like they won on Monday, so people are like, "Oh, they're back to normal. They're a top 10 team again." But I don't think it's 4-0. They didn't like dominate that match. They almost went down a goal early, and then it was just like a few mistakes by Forrest led to those 4 goals. But right now, Bournemouth with their interim manager, they're basically playing super safe. They're playing not to allow goals. So, I mean, when that happens, that's kind of a route I like to do. So,
I think I'm more likely GPP to pay up if I'm going down the middle. Like I think a lot of people may, if they're paying up for a lot of people, end up with some of these cheap goalkeepers. But like if you go down the middle, like I was discussing before, with like 2 Chelsea forwards, right? You play like a piece of the like Dewsbury Hall plus Ryan Christie or something like that, and a Trippier at defender. Like you're going down the middle, like you'll be able to get like you pair Ederson with a Man City center back to get Ederson Akanji would be the only 2 Man City players you have in your lineup, or you'd have Kepa plus Koulibaly. And then you're stacking. Then it's like, okay, now I can play Daka. I can play Madison. I could play like all that type of stuff because you're not paying up for Haaland or Foden. Like, I don't think I'll even be down here. Like the Neto thing. Like Neto seems to fit in lineups more where you're playing like full stacks of Man City or Chelsea or something, or full stacks of Leicester with Madison. But if you're playing down the middle, I mean, I have no problem, playing Ederson or Kepa in those lineups because there are cheap pieces for you to play that aren't on those teams. that all correlate together as it is. And I think that lineups that stack the Chelsea or Man City games, it's just very hard to get Kepa or Ederson because you're paying up. Imagine playing Aubameyang, Mount, and Sterling. Like, unless you're punting both of your defender spots and midfield, it's hard to even have Kepa in that lineup. So I think that playing a defensive stack of Man City or Chelsea with no attackers and then stacking like the Bournemouth-Leicester game, dude, and what happens if Man City and Chelsea win 1-0? And the goal doesn't really matter for anyone's points. I mean, like, it's like someone has 15 on the team, but you could match that with some other player. But they do get the clean sheet, and the goalkeeper has 14 points, and the defender has 8, and you're fine. And then Bournemouth-Leicester is a 4-3 game, and you have both sides of it.
Like, it's really hard to afford the best players on this slate: Haaland, Maddison, De Bruyne. It's really hard to afford them. So, if you had like a 3,900 or forward, that would be pretty good. Just listen. Hold on. That would be good on a slate like this, right? Okay, Jordan, just game theory. Think about game theory here. Okay. No. I have to do this. I'm not going where you think I'm going.
Oh, so you're gonna recommend that I start someone else that's off the bench?
Let's say, no, I'm just gonna give you a hypothetical. Let's say Eddie Howe said that $3,800 Chris Wood was going to play 30 minutes. Was going to play 30 minutes in the second half. Hold on, just listen. I don't care about this.
We played Chris Wood when he starts and he gets nothing.
Hold on. Okay. That's my whole point. This is the whole point. They're a better play in 30 minutes at 0.1% ownership than 60 minutes at 15% ownership, especially on a slate like this when none of these cheap guys are going to do anything. Again, these plays aren't quite good enough. But, I mean, if you're going to tell me that a striker for a favorite is going to play 30 minutes for sure, none of these other guys are going to score, and you need this salary to afford all these best players, I'm just telling you it's a great move.
I'm telling you it's not.
Okay.
To combat that.
If you played at Soccer DFS in classic slates forever and never rostered a substitute, you're probably up, right? Compared to the people that every slate roster is substitute. Now, I said classic because Showdown, I'm less likely to do that also, but at least that's a little bit more viable because the options, you have 2 teams worth of options versus 8 teams worth of options. I can't believe, Ryan, you won the king of the pitch last year. You're the reigning king of the pitch winner this year. I'm a second and third place finisher in 50 years. And you're touting the substitute forward play
who never scores anyway.
Listen, okay. Yeah, I get it. I'm just telling you, there's going to be 2 or 3 spots this year where it's absolutely the right thing to do.
In the 150 Q tomorrow.
Yeah.
Are you playing Chris Wood and Adama Traore as backups in your lineup?
No.
To combat this, I do want to say Callum Wilson played 66 minutes last week. First start since a hamstring injury. Got to think he's healthier, so he's probably going 70 plus. Chris Wood back from a rib injury. Rarely has gone 30 minutes, but I don't even think 30 minutes are going to be there for Chris Wood. So,
dude, I'm just dumbfounded that Jordan's not quite on the same page with me. Let me give you one more.
Know how far off you have to be. You're doing
no. I got to go to a favorite, let's say that Potter guaranteed you 30 minutes from Broja, 4,600. None of these forwards are going to score in this range.
Don't play a forward in that range. I told you, play the 7K forwards.
Right, but you need a goal. But then if you play the 7K
you need a goal even if you're playing the cheap guy.
No, but that's the thing. You play the 7K forward, then you can't afford Haaland's brace, Maddison's goal, and De Bruyne's goal and assists.
Yeah, but they're high. Why? What are you doing? You don't need. The whole point is to fade one of those guys so you get it elsewhere.
Okay.
And you say guarantee. We can't guarantee that. Are you?
No, right. I'm just giving you the hypothetical that people don't realize that those guys would be the best play on the slate at 30 minutes at 0.1% ownership.
Because of the ownership, not necessarily. Like if you told me that
because of the ownership and because none of the other guys are going to score, and because a lot of these guys in 30 minutes are just as likely to score as a lot of the guys that play 60.
You know what's going to happen, Ryan? You're going to win the large field GPP with the horrible payout structure, 10K, with a lineup that has like a backup with Chris Wood in it as a backup, and people are going to be like tweeting at you, going like, "Did you like forget to wake up?" And
right,
like that stuff like that. And they go, "No, I did it on purpose." And then go, "Oh, okay." And then they go to their podcast player, they go to Apple iTunes, right? And they look for the RotoWire soccer podcast, and they press that unsubscribe button. They go,
all right.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Jordan, fading Haaland? What's your favorite move? Is your favorite move Chelsea?
Yeah, go down I'd go down the middle. I would say Chelsea, Leicester. Yeah, I mean Chelsea, Leicester, Bournemouth.
Would your move be like the full game stack here, like you're talking about this Leicester?
Yeah, 2+2, something like a 2+2 or a 3+1. You play two guys from each side, probably avoid the defenders, right? So, like I said, I think like my Tavernier plus Solanke, or like Christie plus Solanke, and then like Madison plus Daka, or maybe you play Dewsbury Hall or Tielemans in that lineup, like some type of lineup like that. Or then on the Chelsea side, I'm not looking at I wouldn't play a Wolves player. I'm just like, let me just play 3 Chelsea players, especially like one of the defenders and then 2 of the attackers. So you play. I'd rather have Havertz in because he's cheaper, and you play something like Reece James or Chilwell plus 2 of Aubameyang, Sterling, Havertz, Mount, and you don't even play a Wolves player on that side of the game. And then you combine all that together. And then that's why I said, like, these lineups, I'm not even sure you're going to need to play any Man City players. I wouldn't mind just playing like Ederson plus Akanji in that lineup. And just be like, okay, let me get the clean sheet, and maybe I'll get maybe Akanji scores the goal, right? KDB has the assist, but he may only have 18 points, and I don't need it. Or maybe he has 23, but because of his price, like I get all 4 goals from Chelsea and both goals from Bournemouth, Leicester, and like it doesn't matter. Like, there are other players that have 23 points that match KDB anyway.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, Harvey Barnes, we haven't mentioned him yet. 7,500. Is he going to be in some of your lineups?
What a player Harvey Barnes is. Yeah, how could we forget about Harvey? That goal he scored on Monday night, I mean, classic Harvey Barnes goal. Honestly, like, yeah, no, I love Harvey Barnes. He's got to be in some of my lineups. 7,500 is a good price. Like, he just keeps getting better. So, yeah, glad you mentioned him.
Do you have any other thoughts, Ryan, before we go here?
I think I already gave sort of plenty, but I guess
true.
I'll just say, you're not going to win a GPP with 5 points from Nunez or Moutinho, but you might with 15 from Chris Wood. Just keep it in mind.
15 from Chris Wood. Is that what we've come to? 15?
Oh, I'm just kidding. No, I don't have any more thoughts.
You know how many times last season where Chris Wood started with like plus 120 odds to score against the worst team in the league, and he came away with 2 points? And he went 90 minutes.
I hate that I had to use Chris Wood as an example. What I'm saying is it's not even really that bad, because most of the time you're just going to start one of these guys that starts, and you're not going to win with them anyways. So, like, what does it matter? You lose with a sub, or you lose with one of these other guys who's going to score you 2 points or not score anyways.
I'm saying not to play those players. Just don't play.
I got it.
Okay, here's what I'm touting. I think a great play on this slate would be Harry Kane, right? I know he's in the late game and he's not in the player pool, but it's quite possible that DraftKings screws up and just counts the late game for this slate. Like, he'll be like zero. You'll literally be the only. You'll write him in. What you'll do is that you'll plug in Erling Haaland, and then on your phone screen, just write in Harry Kane, and then send the screenshot when Harry Kane hits his hat trick. Send it into DraftKings support and say, like, something got screwed up. Where are my 36 points? Like, that seems, why not try that? I mean, you might as well do that if you're going to play Chris. You play Chris Wood in that lineup also, right? If you're going to do that.
All right. I think that's all we got. This is very enlightening conversation here about playing guys off the bench. I think.
I mean, I just look. I know
this podcast has been going on for what, 7 years, 6 years?
Yeah, okay. I can't wait to jam us up. That's all I'm saying.
On a classic slate.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get, once we hit the World Cup, there will be some guys off the bench who win some money. I'm not sure if it's this slate though, but I've been using this cheat sheet on here if you're watching YouTube or Twitter, rotowire.com/soccer trial, free 10-day trial, no credit card required. Thanks for watching. We got this 4-game slate, and then we're back with Champions League next week. We got a lot of stuff going on. As usual, you can find Jordan at BlenderHD on Twitter. Ryan is at Ryan Belongia. I am at Zdroik. Thanks, guys, for joining me. We will be back next week, and yeah, we're just going to keep it going. So good luck to everyone who fades Haaland. If he scores 5 goals, then sorry that you faded him, but there you go. But thanks, guys. See everyone later.
Thanks, guys.